pomarjunction.com or visit us on Facebook at Pomar Junction Vineyard and Winery. Great wines from Pomar Junction.
Flying high at 60,000 feet on the very cusp of outer space, he is strapped in and ready to dive bomb the pernicious peddlers of the pornographic politic. So run for cover. It's the Fred Dryer Radio Show. Incoming! And now, here is your host, Fred Dryer.
Oh, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Come on in, have a seat, strap yourself in. We've got flashlights for everybody because it's dark up here. Mike Horn has just adjusted my microphone. Thanks, Mike.
We have been hanging out together for some time, you and I, Fred, over the last few days. We really have. It's dark up here on the cusp, I'm telling you right now. There's a lot of stuff happening.
It's really great.
You were at a big luncheon today where when you walked in the room, this was the Southern California Sports Broadcasters, you were like a showstopper. I mean, you were just coming in as a guest, and next thing I know, apparently Bob Miller, the voice of the Los Angeles Kings, had a prepared speech to welcome you. It was amazing.
He really did. It was really flattering, and of course, you know, when I accepted to come to the Lakeside Country Club to join with you in the Sportscasters luncheon. What they do, 4 year, 5 year?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 a year.
Yeah, and I haven't been there in a long time, and I figured I'd see some people, some ghosts hovering.
And you did, didn't you?
I did. I really did. You know, I got to see Roy Firestone and
Roy Firestone was there. Yeah.
And there are a couple other folks there, some writers.
Keith
Jackson was the honorary speaker. And, you know, he lives in Sherman Oaks, and I live above Sherman Oaks. So
you look down on him, don't you?
I always have. and so I in talking with him, you know, before he took the mic, before he took the mic and started the program, I told him, I said, you know, I said, all these years we've been neighbors, we've never gotten together. I said, I go to a great little restaurant down on Woodman and Ventura Boulevard, Tiramisu. Peter Castellan and his father, Ivo Castellan. He says, I know the restaurant. And I said, well, I go in there. I go in there with Mike. And I go in there with a lot of my friends. And I said, wherever I am, I always tell people I have lunch, I have dinner, whatever it is. I have cocktails and cappuccinos.
So is he going to join you?
And I said, you've got to come down and join me. He says, you know, he says, I'm going to do that. And I said, just drop in. I said, you don't have to call me, just drop in.
Because you're there all the time.
I'm there all the time. I sit in the back, you know, in my little area, and I read and I do my stuff, and I plan my dive bombing from 60,000 feet in that restaurant.
The trouble with Keith is when they passed him, did you see that they passed him the main course and he was holding it, fumble, oh boy.
Oh, Nelly, there goes my potato.
So it's fun. You got a better introduction, I think, than even Keith Jackson.
Well, you know, and what's great about it is that he was in my era. You know, he said his favorite era was 60s and the 70s. Well, that was my era.
That's your era.
And so we, you know, he's 83. He looked great, didn't he?
He looked great, yeah.
God bless him. I always check their hands to see if there's spots on the back of their hands. You know?
I learned that about you in the car today when you talked about the Hunter show, and they used to actually use a phony hand model when you would be like turning the pages of the book, and they'd have
the inserts.
The inserts would be somebody else's hands with bad fingernails and spots on their hands.
It was so embarrassing and it was mortifying on Saturday night to get all my friends around. You know, my daughter was sitting on my lap.
What's wrong with Fred's hand? Don't shake him.
And look at, I said, who in the hell whose thumbs are those in the insert shot? You know, and so but it's always great, you know, to peel it back with people that you really admire, and Keith Jackson is one of the all-time great ones.
And nice hands. He had good hands.
He had great hands. He had soft hands. He has downy hands, and but maybe one day, when I'm sitting in there, you know, calculating and getting ready to, you know, write my dive bomb sequences, Keith Jackson will walk in. So anyway,
oh boy,
don't go away.